Stages set the lights are bright, candidates ready for the fight. Voices loud, they take the stand. Who will lead this promised land? Promise is flying, hearts ignite. Truth and lies will take the mic. The clock is ticking, make your choice. Who you hear, the people's voice. It's in the ballot, it's in your hand. The future's calling, take a stand. One vote, one dream, one destiny. Who will wear the crown in 2025? We'll see. Words are weapons, wielded strong. Debates get heated, right or wrong. They paint the town with visions bold. Who will rise, who will fold? Shadows reign, your truth will spin. The battle rages from within. One by one they state their case, but only one can win this race. Who will lead this, win this race? It's in the ballot, it's in your hand. The future's calling, take a stand. One vote, one dream, one destiny. Who will wear the crown in 2025? We'll see. We'll see. Promises flying, hearts ignite. Truth and lies will take the mic. The clock is ticking, make your choice. Will you hear the people's voice? It's in the ballot, it's in your hand. The future's calling, take a stand. One vote, one dream, one destiny. Who will wear the crown in 2025? We'll see. Words are weapons, wielded strong. Debates get heated, right or wrong. They paint the town with visions bold. Who will rise, who will fold? Shadows linger, truth will spin. The battle rages from within. One by one they state their case, but only one can win this race. Who will lead this, win this race? It's in the ballot, it's in your hand. The future's calling, take a stand. One vote, one dream, one destiny.
These candidates be vying on why they should become the next Kirikiriroa Maori ward councillors, but with every election there's always one thing stepping in every candidate's way, and that's your vote. Okay, and welcome to tonight's show. We've got three fantastic candidates here who are putting their feet to the It's in the Ballot fire. And let's kick off with Turi on with your 1 minute opening statement.
Kia ora koutou, Kirikiriroa. So I've been lucky enough to join the candidates here for the Māori ward. So tēnei te mihi nui ki a kōrua. Thank you very much. We all understand that Māori do that intrinsically, don't they? They're all inclusive, and so they welcome everybody within their realms. So I'm from the General East Ward, and so the reason I'm running this time around is to try and implement different philosophies and principles within the Western political system. I think last year I wasn't very happy with the way that the government was going, and founded my own political party by the name of Kiwi Union, and that I bring with that the principles and policies within my candidacy within the East Ward, and hope that we can build up some networks for the next election as well. So that's my campaign strategy.
Okay, thank you for that. Next up, we've got Lawrence.
Ngā mihi ki a koutou katoa, ngā mihi tuataiti o tātou mātou ki te rangi, ki a tātou ingoa, pai mare, e te kuini Māori, ngā waihono i te pō. Pai mare, ngā mate haere ati rā, e te tā tūmu te ariki, e te whare toa, tēnei te mea tika koe, haere atu rā. Tēnei te mea tika koutou katoa. Greetings to everybody. My name's Lawrence Jensen. I hail from the East Coast, from Ngāti Porou. I've been living in Fairfield for the last 30 years. Why do I come into this field? I've been in social services, social justice, courts, policing, corrections for many years, 40 years in fact. And the assaults that are happening in our town and the 4 stabbings and the death and the murder that took place about a month ago really upset me, and I wanted to do something and show through my experience how to kotahitanga safe streets together, working together, making places a safer street, safer place. Kia ora.
Okay, next up, Javea.
Rā tātou katoa, he mokopuna ahau no Ngāti Haua, Ngāti Koroki Kahukura, me Ngāti Pākehā hoki. Tēnā rā tātou katoa. Y'all can call me Ja, and I'm standing for a seat on the Māori wards. And I'm standing because it's been a long time coming. If there's some things that you need to know about me, it's that I'm a cycle breaker, I'm a mover and a shaker. And if there's one thing I know about me, it's that I show up. I get down and dirty. I'm under 30 and I'm taking a stand to show that our people are worthy. Nō reira, tēnā rā tātou katoa.
Okay, and I think that's probably the first time we've had 3 different languages in one speech. But thanks for that. Yeah, thanks for that on that one. Okay, so we're going to get over to the box questions now. These are the so each candidate will pick a box number between number 1 or number 28, or if you'd like to do today, between tahi and rua Takoma Wadu. One by one, each candidate will go through their part. Now, with our tradition with It's in the Ballot, each candidate will get 2 button cards and will get 1 defer card. So if a candidate wants to give their answer to another candidate's question, that is the best time to use the button card. And if you get a question that they do not want to answer because it's a bit too much of a curveball, they could always use their defer card and give it to another candidate. Now, we're going to start off with Lawrence. What will be the first box number?
Good day. Number 1.
Number 1.
Number 1 under the sun.
Sorry, remember to start your voting papers off with number 1, so your vote counts. The joys of a single transferable vote.
True.
Oh yes, always a lot of fun that goes there with that. Okay, so we've got V for violin. Okay, and joys of there's only me at the moment, so I've got to do many things at once. And actually, I will change my on-screen graphics to work as well as the ones on the computer. How will you balance the need for economic development with protecting the environment and biodiversity?
Very good question. Firstly, we need to look at debt and how we're spending our money. But the first and foremost is get schools, kokongareo, children involved with planting native trees, looking at protection of waterways. Our lake is polluted. I mean, you can't swim in it and dogs can't drink it. So we need to be really looking at that. Now, kotahitanga is coming together as a community, getting our schools on board, getting our rugby teams, netball teams, football teams, soccer teams, everyone in every which way to be able to appreciate, like our bush near over the Fairfield Bridge there by the table tennis club. There's actually a beautiful bush there. I was attacked by 30 tui one day, and they were flying in every direction because of the rimu trees. That's what we can do. Kia ora.
Turi, what's the next box number?
I'll go Itoru.
Had to make me think a little bit there, but I got there in the end. Okay, we got Z for Zulu. Okay, just a moment while I got all of that on there.
Totally different part.
What role do you see the council having in supporting the local creative sector?
I just love arts. I think it's a fundamental signal to society that we are managing our economy and everything else within it. For me, arts and sports and stuff like that is the canary in the coal mine. If it's not functioning properly, then we have serious management issues within all sectors, specifically the economy. So I think we can concentrate and being creative, because it brings in entrepreneurship and new ideas and innovations and all that fabulous humanity and humane things that society really needs in this time, instead of us chasing the figures and the numbers. It's part of culture, isn't it? And bringing all those different ideas and everything together. So I think it's priority.
Okay. Javea, what's the next box number?
5.
Oh, 5. Okay, we got R for Romeo. Yeah, where is it? What would you do to ensure public spaces, facilities, and events reflect the mana of Kirikiriroa and its rich Māori heritage?
Oh, I love this partai. It gets me really excited. So I know that our council has a Māori wellbeing strategy called He Pau Manawa Ora. And I know that through that, they have a lot of ambitions to think about how we can further implement our culture and talk about our past of our city. So I feel really excited to see how we can honour that in our standing and start to implement things. But what I also feel really happy about too is that one of the things that I'm standing about is all about mana hapori, and it's about thinking about our cities and our neighbourhoods' identities. I believe that how can we create more competitions and fun ways to celebrate where we come from, the neighbourhoods, and also the identity of our city. And I think when people feel more connected and like they belong to a space, then we can start to see that reflected in the way that people show up through different public spaces and events.
Okay, Lawrence, what's the next box number?
Number 8.
Number 8. Okay. Okay, we got X for X-ray.
Okay.
Where is it? That's the one I want. Central government has been making a number of changes to the roles councils undertake, like changes to the RMA, density rule, and construction code. How would you approach the constant changes when it comes to the way you make decisions on behalf of the city?
Good question. So how would I approach it? There is constant change. And I think one of the things is around the RMA. There's been a real fear around mana whenua iwi base, whereby many people think that through the RMA, having to consult Māori, that it's a negative thing. But I just want to say it's not a negative thing. It's a very positive thing, because all you're doing is having Māori around the table, decision-making table, that can actually provide a shorter space getting into the land and using tikanga, which is practical way of living and wisdom. The other side of it is, I think as a council, we need to kick back to central down in Wellington, the Parramatta, are putting burdens that are too heavy for local council to bear. I mean, if you're looking at just our debt, I know this is all related in construction codes and zones. If we're looking at the $1.5 billion and they're wanting to cap it, at what stage will they cap it? It's up to us. Kia ora.
Okay, Turi, what's the next box number?
We'll go for 9, please.
Okay, we got O for octopus. What experience or skills do you bring to ensure sound financial governance and decision making?
So I bring principles really about the finance sector. I come with a different economic reform. And I think everyone agrees that as far as the council is concerned, you've got to maintain your budget and keep it in the black. But I think it's just getting together decent conversations with all the parties that are involved in it in order to get the best solution out of it and get the intellect out of it. For me, the democratic process of majority voting is an issue where the finances have been spent. And I think we can look at the roles of council and bring more assets and different revenue streams in to take it off the ratepayers. So that's what I think I bring.
Okay, Javea, what's the next box number?
7.
7. Okay, we got L for Lima. And sorry, it's a little bit slower here trying to do multiple ones at once. Do you support reviewing council spending priorities before turning to further rate increases?
Thank you for this, Partai. This is a difficult one for me to answer, if I'm being completely honest. I often struggle sometimes to talk about rates or finances, and that's just me being fully transparent here. But if I had to say, I've been hearing a lot of kōrero actually from the candidates about reviewing the spending priorities before talking about rate increases. So that's what I've heard. I don't think I could answer it, but I would be in support of working with a team that I trust and believe in, because I know that everyone's got the best intentions for our city moving forward when it comes to the finances. And I know that a lot of people are worried about that, but I think that my strengths are in learning and are in working really hard to learn these things and engage in these kōrero.
Okay, Lawrence, what's the next box?
Number 6.
Number 6. Okay, we got F for Foxtrot. What is your understanding of te tiriti obligations in local government, and how should they guide Hamilton City Council's decisions?
Good question. Te tiriti o Waitangi, of course, has the tino rangatiratanga, where we didn't cede our sovereignty, and we're working alongside tangata tiriti. That means that the red, black and white threads of all peoples coming together, working together for the betterment of our people. So the obligations are really around relationships, and that's why the Māori wards were set up. If you have a look in the Māori seats in 1867, which was the Māori Representation Act, the whole idea was to create spaces of relationship. Te tiriti o Waitangi was about honouring your word, doing what you say you're going to do, and allowing people growth in business, growth in education, growth in health. And if you have a look at the economic base, Māori back in 1840 were the head of economics. In fact, the full turnaround, Tainui is worth $2.4 billion as we sit here. The full asset of Māori is $126 billion, which is true economic freedom and tino rangatiratanga, sovereignty of our own well-being.
Okay, Turi, what's the next box number?
Let's go 15.
Go 15. Oh yes, the fun part. Old driver's license age.
Yeah, it was. We were talking about it today. You could get it in one day.
Oh, not on my time. You still had a progressive driver's license by the time I got there, but it was still 15. So we've got I for India. What steps would you take to encourage rangatahi Māori to be more involved in local democracy, leadership, and decision making?
Wow, this is off the cuff. Yeah, I think it's vitally important to get the rangatahi involved into the politics, especially the Western, because there's a difference, right, in governance between the Western world's politics and that of te ao Māori. And they come with both those ideas. So if we include them, start at the school age, I think there needs to be a bit more resources available for them to have an interest in the politics, so they can understand how Western world governance works in comparison to tikanga Māori and how Māori govern them themselves. And then just slowly maintain their interest and build that up through rangatahi into young adulthood, and hopefully get them running in for more representative bodies such as council and parliament.
Okay, Javea, what's the next box number?
11.
11? Yep, we can do that. Okay, we've got AA for AA batteries. Who is someone from within the community who you feel best exemplifies the positive attributes of the Waikato that deserves more recognition, and why?
Oh man, there's so many different community organisations that I can think of that really do embody a lot of positive attributes in our city. I would say today I feel really moved by the kaimahi at Te Whare Korowai. Te Whare Korowai is based on Anglesey Street, and it helps all of our streeties, all of our whānau from the street with financial care, with housing, with shelter, but also with allowing them access to understand their drugs and understand how they can also get support. I think that Lisa, who works there, I think she truly embodies the spirit of Awhi, of Manaakitanga, through their kaupapa and just how she truly does listen and is out there on the ground doing the mahi and doesn't expect any recognition. But I feel her wairoa every time.
Okay, Lawrence, what's the next box number?
Number 19. Thank you.
Can't say much about that age.
Yes, that's my age.
Can't remember. Okay. Oh, no, that's the one I want. We got U for uniform. What does Kaiti Kaitanga, guardian of the environment,
Yes.
mean to you in a city context, and how would you put this action on council? Put this into action on council.
Ka pai, kai te akitanga, the centre word there is tiaki. Tiaki is to care for, to look after, with genuine regard and care. So if we applied that principle in the context of buses, for instance, we would allow buses access, footpaths access for wheelchairs to be able to access it. And so that's tiaki. Kai tiaki is somebody who guards and looks after. I mean, I mentioned prior, just down over Fairfield Bridge, and you go into a park, that's where the Waikato table tennis place is. Now, if you have a look there, the wonderful redwood trees, you have a look at the rimu, you have a look at 30, 40 tui birds that are flying there. That's kaitiakitanga, guardianship of that environment. You have the restoration of the rivers, of the gullies that people are doing. And that's kaitiaki. We can actually use this when we have wrong situations in council, using kaitiakitanga, tiaki, being careful, regarding, respect for one another, that we can put this into action so that our council is firing on all 8 cylinders.
So council definitely isn't using a 3-cylinder Suzuki F8B motor.
Exactly right.
Okay, Tiri, what's the next box number?
To go.
Okay, we got W for the Waikato. Okay, how will you ensure Māori perspectives are embedded in decision around water quality, waste, climate resilience, and protection of sacred or cultural sites?
Wow, definitely different questions from the general wards, but yeah, fundamentally important, aren't they? Because it's all part and parcel to Māori's worldview and protecting that kaitiakitanga. How will we ensure that they're embedded in the decisions, that they have to be present? Māori have to be present. That's the first thing. And take into consideration the principles and perspectives that they're coming from. So I think that's easily met and can easily be accommodated regardless of who else is in council. So that's how I would embed it, is maintain kotahitanga, invite the local iwi, the local people in there, and just have a conversation with them. They'll help you through those hard decisions and maintain the purity of the environment of which we are all a part of. And actually, I'm from, so that's how I would do it.
Okay, Ajavale, what's the next box number?
21.
Ooh, that's a unique age.
Yeah.
Yes, my grandma first voted in 1949 at the age of 21, the same year that New Zealand's first female Māori elected MP. Iriraka Rasna was elected to Parliament, who went on to become a 7-term MP as a widow. And New Zealand's only third and last widow succession. But yes, 21, funny how that used to be the voting age.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, we got M for Mike. Do you support borrowing to fund major infrastructure, or should we focus on a pay-as-you-go model?
I don't feel any way about this partai, to be honest. Defer.
Defer it. Which candidate would you like to defer it to?
Yeah, I'll have a quick at that.
Okay.
For a start, I wouldn't defer anything. Sorry, my mind's in a whiz. But as far as infrastructure, firstly, I wouldn't borrow money. Where, as I said before, $1.5 billion in debt. We're paying $68 million a year in interest alone, which is not paying down our sum total of debt. So therefore, we cannot borrow outside of our spec. The second thing I would say is we need to have scrutiny around who is in charge of our finances. And so if we need infrastructure like roading, necessary roading, I mean, the big talk has been around speed bumps. And of course, you have those speed bumps in places where they shouldn't be, and they're costing a fortune. So we can extrapolate and keep good funded models ahead of us. We've got some great brains. I've heard some great candidates talking about this and about that. The other side of it is no pay as you go. I'd have to have a look at that, but definitely not borrow more money.
That's completely understandable, and being pay as you go might mean we have a $30,000 rates bill for 1 year potentially on the cards.
On the cards.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if anyone's been part of the body corp, you're told, oh, you suddenly need to give 15 grand for maintenance this year for this unexpected bill.
Yeah.
I don't think the ratepayers would sit there and like that same concept done on them.
Do you mind if I add to that?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I totally support that idea. I mean, borrowing is probably a lazy way to get out of things, isn't it? If you start looking for other alternative revenue streams, you can then really find options in order to meet those requirements. And, so I totally support that theory. Yeah.
I mean, just a model. If you have a look at the Pacific Basin, around Tonga and Samoa and other countries where China is buying debt. And of course, when you have a look at places like that or Japan, what have the small island? They got fishing, whaling. They've got these sorts of things to pay their debt. So if we, as some people are saying today, that we are close to bankruptcy, and I've heard this in the candidacy, I don't know. If that's the case, who's going to buy our debt? I don't want China or anybody buying our debt. And so the infrastructure has come upon us through consecutive, I've paid rates for over 30 years, consecutive mayors, consecutive councillors, consecutive CEs, and consecutive GMs for all those years. I just mentioned Founders Theatre, the Fountain City. What a farce that was. Cost us millions of dollars. That's historical.
Yeah. So what's the next box number, Lawrence?
I would go for, Sid Going was number 9. We'll go for halfback.
Well, 9's already been taken, so is 11 if you're going down that path, but we've got 13.
13 will do, yes. Bunce, yep, 13 will do. Buncey was a great player.
Go to him the odds. Okay, we got E for the East Coast Main Trunk Line.
Yes.
How do you feel about councillor attendance rate reporting, including committee and workshop attendance, as well as regular council meetings?
I'm black and white on this. If I'm successful, and I hope I am, I would imagine my job is turning up 100% to everything. That means reading all emails, being savvy about our accounts, taking it to the CE, wanting to know his plan, the GMs. I want to know everything. And I'll be actually saying to fellow people, why aren't you turning up? Why aren't you savvy? And it's just not good enough. We need to attend. That's what the ratepayers, that's what our people expect from us, that we need to turn up and work on behalf of them. It's called kotahitanga, safe streets together, kaitiakitanga, that tiaki, that genuine regard and care, and that's what I would do there. And I would expect ratepayers to hold us accountable. Committee, workshops, having public attendance. I'm not afraid to have public meetings. In fact, I welcome it, just like being on the marae. Everybody comes and you hear the story. No gatekeeping.
A cheeky supplementary, this might be for all candidates. How many hours a week would you be expecting to do as a role as a councillor? Because I can tell you one councillor in Wellington has landed himself with a minor hut. It was minimum or something. It was
Oh,
because he was taking in 70 hours
yes, I
a
can
week.
remember. Yeah.
Now, how would you make sure you get that,
Yeah.
at which point do you draw that balance? Because you don't want to put yourself into
No.
hospital.
That's right.
But how many hours would you say you'd be planning to dedicate to the role?
Yes. And firstly, you have we have an approach called, or a theory called, or a model called Te Whare Tapawha, four-sided house, and it's based on the tipuna whare on any marae. And what it is that you have your tinana, and so exercise, right nutrition, right amount of drinking of alcohol. Then you have your hinengaro. The hinengaro is around what you put into your mind, and that's through report reading, social media. And then, of course, you have the wairua. The wairua is the center of everything, and where you have balance, where you get in touch with nature, with creation, with waterways. And then, of course, you have whānau and relationships. And one of the things I have noticed, I used to go to Wellington as a public servant and worked with politicians and worked with CEs of corrections, which had over $1 billion budget. And I can tell you, and then being part of ministerial memorandums of understanding that would go into Parliament. And some of these people, because you can't afford to do what that person did, because one, he's going to die of a heart attack, have a stroke, and then council's not going to put flowers every day, every year on his graveyard. So we have to get a balance, and that's what I'm saying. The amount of hours, we'd have to have a look at what it is. Is it a 40-hour week, which I don't think it is? And you have to allocate time specifically for critical aspects of the job. For me, people are paramount. Spending time with people, listening to what people from my marae, from my communities, all people, what are you saying? What would you want me to do? What's the priority? Prioritizing is absolutely critical. I've been there. I've burnt out. I've done that. Well, not burnt out, but I've come close to that. And you're working in cases in prisons, where people have been murdered and all those sorts of things, and you take it on board. And I'm learning, hey, deep breath, get my whare, my wars intact, get back into creation, get back into the moana, get back into things, and above all, listen to my family and listen to my dog. Taking 4 walks.
Yeah.
Get a balance.
Any other comments from our fellow candidates that want to add to the mix?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like with my experience with council, I remember before I've been a massive activist, advocate in our city for many things. And especially when I was new coming into that space, I felt really bogged down by the system. I felt really bogged down with having to learn a completely different language of communication. And then I really struggled to feel heard, understood, or seen in those spaces when I was advocating. And as a young 21-year-old person coming up in system, I found that really disempowering. But I also found a lot of good connections with good councillors who did make time for me. So I think in regards to the work hour or how many hours I'm willing to work, I'm not blind to the system and how it keeps you stuck and taking you away from the reason why you stood. And so for me personally, I'm very community minded. I'm very tangata centered. And so for me, I would be leaning on community. And I would hope that I would always be out there with the people. Something that I specialize in, that I have a passion for, is social innovation and social cohesion, which is bringing people together. And I think I will really struggle to do that if I'm constantly in council bogged down by all the mahi. However, saying that, I know that when you sign up to be a councillor, that is what you're signing up for. You're signing up to do all of those hard things, and you're signing up to translate it so that our people can have a way of coming in and participating. So I think when it comes to things that I really care about, that I'm super passionate about for our city, for our people, you bet I will work above and beyond as many hours as it takes, in knowing the importance and how much it matters to our people. When it comes to other things that might not be my strength, I know that I will rely on my team or whoever else is in there to carry me through those hard times. Kia ora.
Okay. You want to add anything to it?
Yeah, sure. I think if you're running, you got to love the job, don't you? be passionate about it. And so, because your mind probably doesn't switch off. But you've got to be sure that your family don't get left behind in the wake as well. So a good balance. But you're doing it for a reason, and it's for others, and that just keeps you going, and that's what gives you the best out of you, really. If it's not right, if you're in the head, then you might need to step aside. But
I think just the other side of it is when you have a look at many politicians and local politicians in Central, when they've reached burnout, and we've seen that in the House as we speak now, politicians are resigning and they're feeling that attacked and feeling that unsafe. And I would say to my fellow candidates, we don't want that in council. Coming back to our policies, coming back to the tikanga that I would bring, tikanga doing what is right, living good principles of tiakitanga, kaitiakitanga, is that I am looking after Jar's looking after me, I'm looking after my fellow councillors, my mayor and the CE and the GMs. And that way, let's work together as a team. I mean, we understand why the All Blacks lost that terrible test, is that they weren't playing as a team. It was horrific to watch, the worst loss we've ever seen. And so when you get a team, and sometimes there's been dysfunction in the council over many, many years. What's going on, for goodness sake? Are we adults or are we at a kongareo at a kindergarten? We need to come together as a team so that we can get our country, our city out of debt, and so that we're well and that we care for one another.
I really admire and appreciate that answer. I think from my whakaaro, I understand that it's going to be so difficult to go in there and to change things when understanding the foundation that council was built off is involved with a lot of trauma fields. And so in understanding kind of that unsettling history of our city and perhaps unacknowledgement of what has really happened, as a systems change maker, as a systems thinker, as a creative thinker, I feel as though it's going to be, the way that we're working in system is going to be reflective of the system. Even if we try so hard, I know that it's still going to be difficult because of the foundation that it was built off.
Okay. Tuli, what's the next box number?
Let's go 28. How many have we got?
Yep, 28's the highest we can go.
Oh, wow.
Okay, we got J for Juliet. How will you strengthen relationships between council and mana whenua, hapu and Māori organisations across the city?
Just consultation, really, and open door policy.
Camera to the right.
I think we pretty much discussed it just in the previous answer, is that kotahitanga, and that's making sure everyone is taken care of, work as a team effort. So maintain communication and keep the door open and address the issues together is really probably the only way you can do it. I mean, it's cultural practice and it's second nature to Māori, isn't it? Yeah, that's all I can say about that, really.
Okay, Javea. Okay, and we got B for Bravo. How will you ensure transparency and accountability in council decisions?
Well, I think one of our superpowers as Māori is whakawhanaungatanga and building relationships. And I think when I get into council, one of the first things that I would love to do is just build that trust, get to know other councillors heart to heart, and try to find common ground, which I know can be difficult sometimes, especially in these polarized times. But that's something that I think as Māori, that is our superpower. And so I think when we try to have transparent and accountable relationships with one another, hopefully that would reflect through our council decisions. But I also know that it's not that easy as well. I feel like sometimes the lens that we view politics in is actually what keeps it stuck in the lens that we see it. For example, in the way that I was sitting in the audience one time watching other people, I started to see that we start to view them as politicians, like they know everything. And so I think, how can we ensure that everyone else can also have their say and feel accountable for the decisions in our city?
Okay, Lawrence, what's the next box number?
Let's try 17.
Yep, we can do the age you can join the military at.
Actually, my grandfather went to the First World War at 16. Yeah.
I was talking about that, wasn't he?
Pioneer Battalion.
Yeah.
Did he? Was it honest about the age, or lie about it to get the trip over the world?
Yeah, lie about it. Yes. Unfortunately, we were just talking about petrol leases. So he was the tuakana of where I'm from, and of course he had the land. And when he came back, he was landless, and he was an amputee, and he married an English nurse, which is my grandmother. And so he went back to Tokomori Bay. So I'm proud of being English as well. I thought I'd just put that in there.
Fair enough. Okay, we got the question in for November. How would you balance long-term asset renewals with keeping rates manageable?
I think I heard Tim McIndoe the other night on Sunday talking about a forensic audit. It was either him or somebody, and or it might have been Roma. But I agree exactly with that. We've got a huge debt, as we say, $1.5 billion. And so we need to know exactly how much, because I've heard people talk 3 or 4 different sums, and I'm trying to figure out, is it $1 billion, 1.2, 1.4, or 1.5? For goodness sake, come up with the true facts. And so what I would do is actually have a forensic audit and get one of these, Waterhouse and Cooper or someone like that to come in and to scrutinise the spending. I'd like to know how much, like on MasterCards or on credit. I'd like to know what the spending of each GM has, of each councillor has, and of what the mayor has. Scrutinise everything, how much petrol they're using, all these bills, because we know it's salaries that are the big suckers, and of course those assets like buildings. I just mentioned, took my dog for a walk around Claudelands Park. I looked at the grandstand again and I thought, what a pink elephant, or whatever you call it, what a useless building sitting there unused, costing a fortune. I was against it when they put it there. The A&P show where the greyhounds used to be, another dead duck. We're just not using those assets. Yeah, but the council has put together that beautiful park there in Claudelands, and I just applaud that. My mokopuna love it.
Okay, Tuli, what's next box number?
17.
Sorry, that's
Gone.
literally just been taken.
Oh, sorry. It wasn't even.
My crow was 16 going to war.
14.
Yep, we can do 14. Okay, we got K for Kirikiriroa. Nope, no, wrong one. That's the one I want. Rates have increased significantly in the last 3 years. What will you do to ensure affordability for ratepayers while still funding essential services?
Yeah, well, I'm an advocate for alternative revenues, quite frankly, and I think there's options there if we look hard enough. When Jay was talking about the system being the problem, and it's locked us into this mentality, this ideology that we're adhering to the finances that so long been used, and that's why I like the Māori ward prospects, because I've got different perspectives. I think central government has an obligation there, and I think we have alternatives to look at the uses of our assets, like you were mentioning before, and try and enter that into the market so we can get a return out of that. So there's a lot of work we can be doing for that and keeping the rates down. And I think I just mentioned the other day that the ratepayer model doesn't really work for me. I think it's locking people into this speculative model, and that's against fixed incomes. So things need to change dramatically there.
Can I just add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Matatini. When Matatini, the Kapahaka, National Kapahaka, was down in Hastings, it generated, I think it was 3 million for Hastings and 3 million for Napier. $6 million came into them. Now, I have not heard any of the candidates talk about tikanga Māori and Kapahaka. Now, next year, We have the national kapahaka. How much millions is that going to bring into our country? Now, why aren't we? Why isn't our council saying, hey, what are we going to do to encourage kapahaka? It's amazing. You know, crime rate goes down. Well-being soars. You get older, our karawa, our kuia, our little babies, our mokopunas running around. We have stalls, we have kai, we have creative arts coming in. So that's another avenue that we can go into, is around kapahaka. It generates millions and millions of dollars, which, by the way, isn't that fantastic?
Okay. Sorry. Javea.
Te Kaumārima, 25, please.
It's always well, that was the age the car insurance excess came down from 800 to 300 for me. Hopefully, yes, I did. The full license one helped it come down a bit sooner when I was 17, but you know what age is like. That's something that doesn't get sped up by passing driver's license tests. So we've got G for golf. What does effective Māori representation in Hamilton City Council look like to you, and how will you ensure that Kirikiriroa Maori ward has a strong voice at the decision-making table? And I'd love to say, Helen, next time you write the questions, remember, Tainui don't use macrons, they use double A's. Something I've like noticed the amount of not being spelt the Tainui way.
Yeah, kia ora. Well, I think the first thing is to ensure that we have Māori wards. And so that's why it's really important to make sure that you vote yes, a tick for Māori wards this year. I remember when I've been working in local elections and local democracy for many years now. And what I can say is that our people have a very high distrust towards all systems because of what we've experienced in our past. And that still is happening today via our low voter turnout rate, and also due to our candidate events too, where we often don't see a lot of our whānau coming to support us. But that's okay, because we understand what the reality is like for our people, and we know how difficult it is. So I would encourage everyone to make sure that you vote yes for Māori wards, to ensure that even if it's one or two of us, that we still have Māori voices at the table. Lawrence and I went to an event just on the weekend, and we actually learnt that we've only had 4 Māori representatives on council this whole time. And so that's why it's important to vote yes for Māori wards, to ensure that our voice can be heard at the table.
Okay, let's get ready for our next round of hard-hitting questions. Where do I hit the graphics there?
Hard-hitting questions. We're not gonna need to put in on tons of questions, because every candidate has to answer the hard-hitting questions.
And as you probably gather, going from feeling like you're in the rest home to suddenly have the lights-based electrolytes suddenly put back into you, the hard-hitting question solid definitely does sit there and help doing that. Now, oh, sorry, Stream Deck, don't disappear, don't disappear. Okay, so hard-hitting question number 1. How will you promote Māori language, art and culture in Hamilton so that they are visible and valued as part of the city's identity? Javea.
Well, it was really awesome to hear that recently Hamilton City Council, along with Creative Waikato, implemented a policy that ensures that arts will be incorporated in any of the decisions moving forward in our city. So I think that's a massive win. And I also want to mihi to a lot of the mahi in council that they have been doing around our language. For example, we have a rangatahi action plan, and they have officially launched one now in Te Reo Māori as well, which is a massive win for us. We also have a Māori wellbeing strategy as well, which aims to support us in that space of sharing our culture with our city. But I think that we also have to be careful of how it is honoured and not tokenized. But I think that it's something that's rich that we can share and enrich our community with.
Okay, Lawrence.
Oh, same question.
Yeah, same question.
Okay.
Yep.
I was managing a Pūtikitiki, which is where Bontemsky Street used to be. And part of the local community, and the tangata Tiriti, he was a chemist background, and decided to rename Bontemsky Street. And so they went to the king, King i Tuaitia Pōtatau, te Wherowhero te Tuawhetu, our queen's father, who was the king of that time, and he gave the name Pūtikitiki. Now, Pūtikitiki is a place of chieftainship, and it's around the highland. So if you go from where Bontemsky was, Pūtikitiki, all the way through to Hillcrest, there was a high ridge, and there was a celebration, or we would look up there and look down to the rivers, who was coming. There was signals, fires that would be set, and to warn people, and it was a place of chieftainship. So by renaming these streets, you give back the mana, you give back the language, because it's Pūtikitiki, the language of the kingitanga, the arts, what Wiriwi Puke and what Ngāti Wairere have done with our dual history. We've got the kotai ano te koha o te ngira, you know, the red, black and white thread going through the eye of the needle, the saying from Pōtatau the first. We've got ka pūtaruha, ka hao te rangatahi, where we, you know, which is about the old net being frayed and the new net coming forward around our rangatahi and leadership. These are in our city, and I would expect, and I would help councillors to understand the richness of these proverbial sayings and connect them with mana whenua, taking them to the marae. So it's not a burden, but it's something that's joyful, something that I can understand and help them to understand. We're in it together, as the Salvation Army says.
Okay, Turi.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think for me, we were discussing the city's plan for the future, 20, 30 years ahead, and we couldn't get away from the fact of that majestic awa going right through the middle of it, and having a connection, personal connection with it, and the mana and the purpose of the awa that creates the city. We can't lose that identity. Rather than have a city built in over the awa, have the awa the main cause and personify it as a living entity for what it is, and build all the policies and relevance around the awa itself. So the identity of the awa, the personification of the awa, and maintaining life in those stories and the mauri that exists within the whenua around that area is a priority to allow the city to grow off that, and that maintains the identity. So, but ultimately, as a general ward candidate, I'd consult with Māori about that. You'd have to.
Okay, let's get on to hard-hitting question number 2. What would success look like at the end of your term? Javea.
Well, my 3 po are all about creating a connected Hamilton. So the first thing that I would love to do is think about Kirikiriroa tūhono by introducing digital infrastructure like digital mailboxes that actually enable our people to have more access to find out what is going on in council. Now, I'm very mindful that I feel like that one would actually take years and years to kind of establish. So I'm not going in there blindly. But my other 2 focuses are around introducing a citizens' assembly, which is essentially bringing people together to make informed decisions alongside experts on plans that council runs. And I think that's really important to start to bring people together of different lives, different experience, different backgrounds, to be able to have conversations at the table. And the third thing is all about mana hapere, is about having hood battles. It's about talking about our neighborhood identities. And I think those 2 last things are actually what's going to build trust for us to be able to operate in the digital infrastructure, so that we can then start to have trust and understanding with council.
Okay, Lawrence.
Yes, our King i Tuaitia Pōtatau te Wherewhero Tuawhetu in 2017 signed a kawanata with corrections, and I was part of that. And I was seconded from corrections to the King's office And so the kingitanga, I already knew about the kingitanga, but it was first-hand experiencing that with our king and the ariki. But what really made me think about it was he always used to say, you know, we can do something better. Success can be something better. And I'm thinking about what else he used to say about the inclusive nature of the kingitanga. It's not to be, people shouldn't be feeling threatened. They should rejoice around that inclusivity, those principles of kotahitanga, coming together as one, strengthening all peoples. And that's what the kingitanga values is. So one of my key perspectives would be, at the end of my term, is that people would not be afraid of tiranga Māori, not be afraid of te reo Māori, not be afraid of our marae, not be afraid of the kingitanga, but to embrace it and to see the inclusive nature and the richness that it brings. And so that's kia kahara koutou, hara mai, let's do it.
Okay, Turi.
Yep, totally. I support that ideal, and success for me in the general ward would be getting the council in that space in order to accommodate that. So, you know, it is all about kotahitanga and cohesion within the chamber. Yes, we want heated debates, but you can do it in a respectful way and share your ideas and opinions and get the facts in there. And once we get a habit of doing that, make that a culture within the council, and then we can participate with Māori, with the kingitanga, and have some decent, strong conversations and elevate philosophies and decide where we're going to go for the future from there. For me, that's success.
Okay, let's get on to hard-hitting question number 3. What is your position on retaining Hamilton City Council's Kirikiriroa Maori Ward and Waikato Regional Council's Ngā Tai Ki Utu Māori constituency, and why do you hold that position? Javea.
When I first started working in this space, I didn't see a lot of Māori representation until I went to this rangatahi event called Let's Give a Shit About Politics. And that was the first ever time that I actually saw young Māori people running for council. When Māori Wards was introduced, it was actually the first time as a community organisation, I work in the youth sector, that we actually started to work more relationally with the council. They started to come to more of our events, and we really started to develop a really good relationship. Not only that, but Councillor Maria Huata has been a massive inspiration to me. She actually inspired me to stand, and I'll never forget watching her video when I saw the way that she speaks like a poet and she's just her authentic self. You can feel her wairua, her ahua when she walks into the room, and I thought, I want to be just like her. I love seeing her whānau support, and I love how she oozes manaakitanga. So I think for more other young Māori people to see people that look like them in the council, it's only necessary. Not only that, but it also upholds Te Tiriti o Waitangi and partnership, and it's nothing to be scared of.
Okay, Lawrence.
Yes, I'm advocating to change the name from Hamilton to Kirikiriroa, the tikanga tipuna name. Kirikiriroa is a beautiful name, and it encompasses everything there. It encompasses the Māori ward, actually even before Māori wards even existed. 1,000 years old. Now, Kirikiriroa is the alluvial, the high, rich soils that come together, and our gardens. And where Wintec is, or they were gardens out of Marae there. And so historically, Kirikiriroa is the long place of warmth, of manaki, of caring, of growing kind. So maintaining, I would like to not only maintain the Māori ward for a season, because I would like to find out. I hear some candidates saying, oh no, we want to do away with them. And then what? You've got very little or poor relationships at iwi. So how are you going to strengthen them? And so what I want to know is what's in its place. The other side of it, the Waikato Regional Councils, Ngā Tai Ki Utu, a group of kaumate kuia that come around the table, around the Māori constituency. I said to some of the candidates on Sunday night, there are 2 meetings. There are these meetings which is the first one, the real meetings behind the closed doors. A Māori constituency is about people that we need to get into the decision-making table. And the onus is on, I hear a lot of democracy, but this time last year, I think we had 6% of Māori voting. How can you say that that's democracy? Democracy doesn't necessarily work unless we work at it. So one, let's change the name to Kirikiriroa Maori wards, and let's have a referendum around what does the Māori ward look like? Why can't non-Māori vote for me? And why do we have to go through what I would call a discriminatory process in the way we do politics? I can only vote for those Māori candidates. I got family members that are Pākehā and they can't vote for me, but they want to. I speak Spanish. I lived in Spain, so I worked with the Latino group for many, many years. Many of them want to vote, but can't. Why? Because they're not on the Māori roll. Discriminatory race-based seats? No way. The current system is race-based. We need to fix it. How's that for an answer?
It's definitely different. Definitely different. And Chile?
Yeah, I agree with the comments there. Kirikiriroa is a name that everyone can relate to, rather than Hamilton. And I agree. I think, the opportunity for Māori wards to provide a different point of view, a worldview, is important for any decision-making representation. And I tend to think that the tide's starting to change to a point where tangata te reti want more inclusion to the Māori side of things because they feel part and parcel to the way that we think. And again, we're back to the system issues. There are systemic issues within the Western world of politics. It is discriminatory. Democracy is a minority process, and I think it's time for that to change. And Māori wards, again, it's not a model. We can improve it at, but we can't eliminate it. So that's where I'm at. So I totally support it at the moment as an interim.
Okay, it's that time of the show where we get to candidates' closing statements of why they should be your number one vote. Javeth,
Okay. Kia ora, it's me again. Vote for me if you want to support the future of our city. What I bring to this role is a long experience of working in community, of working in new, hopeful, and exciting spaces like systems change. I'm super connected across the whole motu, and I'm also deeply connected with an Aotearoa here as well. Vote for me if you want to see change, if you want to see things being done differently, if you want to see me advocating hard for our people, but also if you want to vote for someone that has a heart, that is transparent, that is trustworthy, and that is not afraid to own her mistakes or her learnings or her weaknesses. My number one strength is positivity. My second is intellection. Third, includer. I love to make sure that other people are also included in our decisions.
Okay, Lawrence.
What was the question?
Closing statements.
Oh, my closing statement.
Why you should be getting the number one vote.
Why you should be giving me the number one vote. Whānau, you know why. Because you won't get McDonald's. No. But here's the reason. Kotahitanga, Safe Streets Together. That kotahitanga is built upon the kingitanga, around the tongikura, the proverbial sayings of our king. And what it simply means is coming together, working together, all peoples, inclusive. I'm proud to be Māori. I'm proud of our reo. I'm proud of our proverbial sayings. I'm proud to be part of the kingitanga. I'm proud of ngā waihona ki te pō, our te auriki, our queen. I'm proud of being able to work with and to get alongside our king, to eiti po te tau, te whirowhira tuawhitu. Family, why you need to, I understand ministries, I understand working in the public sector, I understand what government is about. I went into Parliament a number of times around select committees, helping people, helping politicians. So I understand that. I understand Ministry of Development. I understand CEs or big organizations like corrections at $1 billion. I understand that. And so vote for me. I'm honest, I'm reliable, I'm trustworthy, and I'm principle driven. And I believe in tikanga Māori doing what is right and proper all the time. I'm open for correction. Vote for me, mean Māori mean. Kia ora.
Okay, Judy.
You two have got my vote, that's for sure. Again, I'm on the general ward, so I think I bring in different perspectives and principles and help the cohesion process and pragmatics. So I like to talk to people and bring out the best in them so we can put it onto the table and extract the intellect out of all the interest groups that we have, including the Māori wards, including the iwi, the hapu that's relevant here. So I think it's time for change. I think we've got the capabilities and the skill sets to communicate properly and to inform those who aren't quite well informed yet, give them an understanding. But cohesion, I'm a team player, I'm a rugby man, and it's those assets and principles that we can bring to the table to create that cohesion with all the environments and the groups within Hamilton, specifically with Tainui and the Māori wards. So, how do I bring your vote?
Okay. And when it comes to voting in the Kirikiriroa Maori ward, in order for a candidate to be elected, they have to achieve what is known as the quota. Since Kirikiriroa Maori ward is only a 2-position ward, how the quota is worked out is by the number of positions available plus 1 divided by the total number of votes. So who will be elected onto the council will have to achieve at least 34% of the first preference and redistributed votes in order to be an elected councillor on the Kirikiriroa Maori board. So when it comes to voting, don't just look at your first preference, look at your second, your third, your fourth, and go down. There's something I want to keep, I should be keeping to myself, but there's one candidate who probably shouldn't be ranked in there, but I've just seen what was said in the candidates booklet, and I don't believe it's supportive of Māori wards. But I think you gathered my opinion on that one there. But, you know, when it comes to ranking, so, you know, look at these candidates there. Can I thank our candidates for participating on tonight's It's in the Ballot show. It's not easy to jump in front of a video camera and, you know, put yourself out there, but thank you so much. And can I thank you, Roderick, for stepping in behind cameras again. And thank you to the team for bringing tonight's It's in the Ballot show together. Tomorrow I'll be taking my fun drive back to Wellington, and we will sit there and get things back. And if you want to come and tune in the election results show, we will break down iterations with STV. You will be having that on Sunday, the 12th of October. The day after Election Day, we will break down the results and explain the STV iteration redistributions for our STV councils that we have covered this It's in the Ballot local body elections, because I think that's where we're going to have a lot of fun explaining the ins and outs. So we'd like to sit there and wish everyone a good evening, and we'll see you guys soon with when things how they go right.